What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today, a tragedy has occurred. Gamers have simply run out of money. There's no more games to buy. The cost of living is too damn high. It is quite shocking, to say the least, this article and this report that I just happened across. And I feel like it ties into a lot of what we've been covering on the channel recently, specifically with like Xbox and how they've been fucking up their entire brand and raising the prices on absolutely everything. I feel like it's all part of a grand scheme. I don't have a tinfoil hat, but this Seahawks hat is close enough, right? My theory is Microsoft is the big pusher behind this, but what they've been trying to do for years, ever since the Xbox One was revealed, maybe even further back, is they want to turn video games and this hobby into something like Hollywood, like streaming services. Why buy DVDs and own that thing permanently when you could just sign up for a subscription service? And although it's nice to be able to get all this different content, at the end of the day, you stop paying for that service, you don't get that content. So, long story short, I feel like Microsoft has been the big ones pushing this in the video game industry, where it's trying to get people to not own video games, to make that as unappealing as possible. Why buy games on Xbox when we make the console as unappealing as possible? In any case, that's my crackpot theory that this is all some greater conspiracy to price us out of our hobby, which is just so fantastic. Alongside, many people not being able to afford basic necessities, how about not even basic hobbies? Times are great. I got a couple articles I want to read and go over, and let's just talk about that today. This comes from Vice. US gamers aren't buying video games anymore. New study reveals. You guys really let me down. But you don't have money? Why would you stop consuming? What on earth how could you? A study revealed that a majority of video game sales are fueled by only 4% of players. In 2025, 63% of US consumers are buying fewer games. Is this a result of what's going on with the economy? Or is this just something that the industry has been pushing towards for a long time? Well, if we think about Stop Killing Games, what was that all about? It was all about game ownership. You pay for this thing, you own it. Even going so far back, this might be a long shot reference, but don't copy that floppy. Roll the clips, please.
Did I hear you right? Did I hear you saying that you're gonna make a copy of a game without paying? Don't copy that floppy. So let me break this down for you.
They don't. What's the perfect business model? The one that you keep having to pay for. A new study has revealed that most US gamers are no longer buying video games. I, by the way, am part of the 4%. I mean, this is my job, so. The surprising research revealed that the majority of game sales are supported by small groups of hardcore hobbyists. Couldn't be me. Could not be me. I'm not in that demographic. If you're watching this, there's probably a good chance you are too, to be honest. 63% of US gamers buy 2 games or fewer per year. This is what made Game Pass so appealing. You can see kind of why that business model was so successful for a time, and why they're now jacking the prices up on that and on the cost of games. You're not allowed to have fun anymore. Diarrhea forever. You can't even afford your basic hobbies anymore. That is kind of a surprising statistic. I mean, what could that indicate? Problems with the economy or problems in taste? Could it be that most gamers have already found the thing that they're gonna invest all this time into? I don't know, I got buddies that play Tarkov and League of Legends, and they justify continuing to play that because of the money that they've put into it. You know what I mean? Gaming habits in the US are drastically shifting. The results were revealed by prolific games industry expert Matt Piscatella. Yeah, let's pull up the graph. Approximately a third of video game players purchase a new video game less often than once per year, while about 36% purchase a new game once a quarter, or with higher frequency. Now, when they say new game, are they talking about games that just released? Or that's probably what it is, because, I mean, Steam sales, you can pick up some old games for like $3, $5. This is why you mute your phone when you record a video. I mean, it does seem fairly vague though. How often do you typically purchase a new game? But this could also be a demographic of people who like don't even watch my videos. You know what I mean? Like if you're watching all my videos, you're probably that 4% or higher. The senior director explained that only 30% of US-based gamers purchased 1 or 2 games per year. However, the even more surprising statistic is that 33% of gamers in the US don't buy any new games at all over a typical 12-month period. So is this like geographical? Are Americans just getting so butt fucked by like wages and corporate greed and all this stuff that we're like, well, back to the farms. Yep, gotta plow the fields, make enough money to feed my family. It's unclear if this is being impacted by subscription services or the continued popularity of free-to-play games such as Roblox and Fortnite. By the way, don't play Roblox unless you want to get molested for some reason. I don't need to elaborate. Microtransactions in live service games, for example, aren't typically counted as game sales. So kind of like what I said, people that buy a game then invest into it. Well, if you know you enjoy something, are you really going to take the risk buying a game that you may not enjoy, or maybe you want to return it? Or are you just gonna do the safe bet and buy some old games on Steam for massive discounts, or rely on subscription services, or just play through the games you already have? Matt went on to explain that most game sales in the industry are being fueled by hyper enthusiasts. Couldn't be me. But on the other hand, there is a bright light. The Nintendo Switch 2 boosts console sales to record highs. That don't make a whole lot of sense. If a brand new console is selling like hotcakes, but people aren't buying games for it? What's the correlation? While the above statistics may seem a bit depressing, Circana also revealed that gaming hardware sales are booming. Not for Xbox. But you know what? I want you guys to tell me in the comments down below. How many games do you buy a year? New games. Let's conduct our own little poll on this channel. I want to see what the results are. Hardware. Year-to-date video game hardware spending has grown 20% versus a year ago, reaching $2.9 billion. Nintendo is already outpacing the sales records of the first Nintendo Switch. According to Matt, the Switch 2 is actually outperforming the previous generation by as much as 77%. So Nintendo, side note, Nintendo is sitting very pretty. Why is it that American companies are fucking up with their consoles, but if the Japanese ones are just flying off the shelves? What could it have to do with our culture over here? That's what I wonder sometimes. But I guess, like, if this is an indication that people are really watching their budgets, then from a like marketing standpoint, isn't it the worst fucking time to be raising prices on everything? The answer is yes. Yes! But I'm not an economist. This is actually impressive when you consider that the Nintendo Switch retails for $4.99. This is a staggering 66.9% nice price increase over the original Switch. So although US consumers are buying fewer games per year, the industry continues to thrive on console sales. Just makes you wonder, Xbox, what could it be? What could it be? Maybe it's a good console. However, the main takeaway from this study seems to be that the games industry is still largely being funded by hardcore gaming enthusiasts. As are most hobbies, I would imagine, are fueled by the hardcore enthusiasts. I mean, I have spent a lot on Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Star Wars Unlimited cards. Let's just say that. Now, this also ties into an article from IGN. Back in July, younger Americans have spent 25% less on video games this year than last. Gotta pump those numbers up, man. Those are rookie numbers. That's according to a report by the Wall Street Journal, which used data from the market research company Circana to analyze the spending habits of young Americans. Okay, so just like this new article did, this one also referenced the same studies. While spending was down 13% across the board from January to April for 18 to 24-year-olds, particularly on accessories, technology, and furniture, which fell by 18%, 14%, and 12%, respectively. Video game spending saw the largest fall. This is not a trend observed in older age groups. I guess I'm old. What is this an indication of? It sounds like Gen Z is getting fucked. If you are a Gen Z audience member and viewer, tell me again in the comments, do you have a lot of disposable income? Like, how much are you paying? Like, how many games do you buy a year? And what are your reasons for that? I've got to stay in tune. I've got to stay connected with the youth of today. Otherwise, I'm gonna grow old. Everybody will call me the Unk Man. The Wall Street Journal posits that a combination of economic challenges is driving the decline, with graduates struggling to find employment and credit card delinquency rates highest for 18 to 29-year-olds. Okay, so bad economy, plus harder to get jobs, plus student loan debt, plus having to room with your buddies or your parents, and like not being able to afford a place on your own, and also trying to work full time. It sounds like Gen Z is just trying to survive. You know how like baby boomers and people who grew up during or after the Great Depression, how they like stockpiled way too much shit that they really didn't need. Will Gen Z, years from now, will that be like something that they psychologically all do because they're operating under this idea of like scarcity? We'll see. I'm interested to see how that is. Young grads are having a much tougher time finding jobs. Student loan payments are restarting for millions of borrowers. Credit card delinquency rates have risen to their highest point since before the pandemic and are highest for those 18 to 29. That's crazy, man. So people can't even pay back the money they owe on regular spending. It's worth noting that the time period featured in the study does not include the June launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, which will boost the figures. It seems a lot of people who are, doing rough financially, it's some sliver of happiness you can make room for, you know what I mean? And next year's launch of GTA 6 is expected to set records for consumer spending, not just on video games, but all of entertainment. A funny side note, isn't it interesting how, like, if you go back in gaming history, you'd hear like Halo 2 broke records for revenue, and then MW2 broke records for revenue, Black Ops 1 broke records for revenue, Halo 3. It is kind of funny how often, like, it shows what an exponentially growing behemoth the video game industry has become. Oh yeah, so the same guy who did the previous study. He said, people are still turning up to play games, but engaging more with free-to-play on devices they already have access to. That makes sense. The report comes at a time of great instability across the games industry despite record profits. How does that make sense? Record profits, but yet, like, overall spending on video games is down. I think they've cracked it. They've cracked the video game industry. So you hire people, then you suck their soul out, and then you lay them all off or shut down the studio. Once you get what you want from them, like, why would you take care of the people? Yeah, it talks about Redfall developer Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush, Tango Gameworks. Yeah, Microsoft cutting eye-watering 6,000 staff. Funny how Xbox always seems to show up in these conversations about all of the worst things happening in the video game industry. Like, isn't that just a surprising coincidence, don't you think? Yeah, I mean, if you want my word for it, like, the people that I know and that I talk to online, like some of my patrons, fans, friends, it seems like most of Gen Z, the people that I interact with, they're not living lavishly. They're trying to get by, and I notice this because often I'll want to play a new or older game with some people, and dude, some of my buddies are like, oh, that's $5, dog, I can't spare that right now. And I'm like, dude, it's fine, I'll get the game for you, This is something I've witnessed firsthand, at least in my friend group. Obviously, I'm an outlier because this is my job and I get paid to make videos like this. This is real, I think, and it's interesting to see. In some ways, the hobby is declining or dying. Not dying, but, the fact that it's Gen Z and it's like 2 separate studies and 2 separate articles from the same company, and all these other big gaming outlets are covering it and, putting some legitimacy on this guy. I think that's an indication that times are rough, especially for Gen Z. But if you are Gen Z, or you're not, if you're a cool millennial like me, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like I said, let me know how many games you guys buy a year and why. If times are tough financially, you can give a brief explanation if you want, just to see if there's any common themes, right? Now I'm interested. I'm wondering, what is the cause of this? Why on earth would you spend less money on video games? But yeah, if you like what I do here and want to support the channel, liking and subscribing is always appreciated. If you want to go that extra mile, you can always support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, which will get you access to my private Discord server, where I hang out most of the time, play video games, shoot the shit, and hang out. Of course, higher tiers will get you higher perks. And today, I'm shouting out the acting experts. A Slice of Pizza, A2A Phoenix, Anubis 17, Big Demoness Mommy, Caprivi, Chrysa W, Dr. Muller, G. Carter, 8505, Jazan Heitman, Giselle's Player 1, Levi Von Marks, Lime Soda, Lucas Haynes, Multitude, Rookie Ranger, Saber the ODST, Scroto T. Baggins, Shadow Sylphia, and the Superstorm 49. Thank you guys for your continued support. It means a lot to me. And yeah, all right, everyone. That's all I got for today. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace.